So it's good to be with you. I've been thinking a lot recently about our divine connection, and really specifically as it relates to what our belief system is, because so many of us have religious trauma, and often all of our beliefs get thrown out, and then we'll pick up maybe yogic beliefs or another set of beliefs. But what we find as we work with people through their spiritual, physical, nervous system healing process is that without a really strong spiritual belief system that is integrated into our bodies, it becomes very challenging to feel loved. It feels challenging to integrate the divine love in ourselves if we feel fundamentally betrayed by God, or can't even hear the word God without, getting chills up our spine. So I think as we heal our relationship with the concept of God, of the divine beings, we do have to spend time in our mental body to decide, who am I going to create a relationship with that I can project on, that I can receive love from? Who do I have the least reaction to, even? I had this time in my spiritual development where I was getting a lot of interference and having a lot of spooky experiences. And at the same time, Doreen Virtue was saying, you're all going to hell if you use my oracle cards. And I was like in a spiritual crisis because I was feeling stuff that I wasn't really interested in feeling. And I had the fear of someone telling me that if I believed in something that wasn't a certain box, I was doomed. Now, mind you, I grew up in the Catholic Church. I went to Catholic school. I was fine with the a la carte version of religion. And I ran the church in college at Syracuse University. So I never felt confined by religion or what religion told me. I had this very defiant free will that was like, I'll take Jesus and you can take your hell and go to hell, right? So I never felt confined by religion. I felt very much free to choose what I wanted and to be like, that priest, there's something wrong with him. I like Mother Mary. However, at this point where my foundation was getting spiritually shaken, I was grasping and really unsure. And that was when I chose my deity. I chose who the form of divine was going to be for me. And I got very discerning in my spiritual beliefs. So that was the gift of all that fear that Doreen Virtue created, was like, it rattled me enough to go through that next level of, what do I believe in and what do I not believe in? And I think that's important because we have to work within our ego mind. We need to work with our ego. But to say it's just the universe may be too loosey-goosey and diffuse for us to really work on our relationship with Source. Does that make sense? So what we find when we're doing trauma healing with people, if it's broad and undefined and uncommitted to, then it's a little bit harder to call upon the divine and to know the divine is going to come and love me or help me when I command that light into my life. So we do have these discussions with people who come through our trauma work. Like, just tell me what you believe. What do you believe? Let's work that. And let's work it from there. In bhakti yoga, it's the yoga of devotion, devotion to a form of the divine. Well, why would we even need a form? Why would we need to devote to a form? It's kind of like the difference between feeling like you're going through life on your own or feeling like you have that family member or that partner that's doing life with you, right? So it's nice to have the divine doing life alongside you. And it's hard to imagine that particles of light are doing life alongside you, even though that's probably the truest form of the I am presence, right? The ultimate form of the divine is the light, most likely, or the divine sound. But if we were to bring that into matter or into form, into a form that has lived on this earth, no matter what your background, there are divine forms. Take Kuan Yin from Buddhism, take Shiva from the yogic path or Krishna, take Jesus or Mary Magdalene. So whoever it is, whether it's an angel or an archangel, there are different realms. There are different, like if you think of an elevator, there are different floors in the spiritual realm. I don't know what they are. I know the angels are on one of the floors, the ascended masters are on another floor. But choose, hang out with that divine form, create an intimate relationship. In bhakti yoga, they say, make the divine a friend or a lover. Make it a mother or a father. Choose the being, choose the type of relationship you want with that being, but please choose. Without that commitment to a relationship to the divine, it is really challenging to feel, to tangibly feel the presence of the divine helping you through this human experience. And man, times are crazy, no? Do you feel like you've been through a washer machine for the last, I don't know, 5 years? Yeah, I have. So Paramahansa Yogananda talks about the relationship to the divine and like begging the divine. Hey, like a kid would beg their parent for a lollipop. Divine, help me. The next minute, divine, help me. Divine, help me. Where are you? I need you. Let me feel you, divine. Let me experience you within me, divine. So project a human relationship on your relationship to the divine if that is helpful, but develop the relationship so that we're not going to our spouse or our best friend or our therapist for that aloe on the wound. We are going straight to source for that comfort until we can comfort ourselves. Does that make sense? So in my line of work, I see people going to ayahuasca ceremony. I see psychedelics. I see people going to psychics. I see all of these pathways to use an intermediary to get to divine. And what I say is develop your straight communication line to source. It will be like dating. It will be like, hey, how are you? Are you here? Are you still here? Do you like me? Do you love me? Can you help me? I didn't feel your help. Can you help me now? Can I feel your love? Can you love me? What does this feel like? Oh, this is a little awkward. Is it really there? Is it not there? Am I being supported? Well, how do I feel my vibration? What data do I have that the divine supported me today? So in our work, we use the violet consuming flame. In Christianity, maybe that's the Holy Spirit. But we need to collect data that when I ask for help, the help arrives and the situation does shift for me. Don't be afraid to look for the data. That is how the ego mind buys into this whole divine thing. That is how the neural synapses in our brains can build a belief system around the divine supports me. But if it's diffuse and it's like, hey, universe, then when you give your burdens over to divine, is there a set of hands that are taking those burdens and taking care of it? Like if you've ever been a manager at work and you say, hey, Joe, can you take care of these invoices for me? Do you just hand it over and hope Joe's somewhere? Or do you put those invoices in Joe's hands for the assurance that Joe's got this? Same is true for divine. There needs to be a relationship and a trust that when I hand something over, it's going to happen. And that trust isn't a blind faith. Faith is like, hey, I hope this will happen. Trust is I have data that when I ask, I am supported. That when I call the divine into my life, things shift. That when I ask, I need help healing, the people show up to ignite my own healing in myself. That trust is paramount, and it's built just as trust is built in a relationship. When I first met my husband, I don't know, 25 years ago, I didn't trust him until I got data on him. And here's what you can trust with human behavior. Whatever data they showed you here is probably what they'll show you in the future, right? You can trust this data set will probably be this data set. So when we build a data set on God and we build the data set in our bodies, then no matter when the mind is like, that's not true, that's not going to happen, you're unsupported, you're unworthy. When the mind does its negative thing, your body will know, that's not true. Like divine's been with me. I've been supported. Every time I ask, I feel the love. And then life gets juicy. Life gets co-creative. Life doesn't feel like you're stuck with anything. You can see beyond the present moment. You can co-create with the divine wisdom and the divine power and the divine love that you already are. See, the divine is piped straight into the heart. The sacred light from the heart of source is your soul flame. I mean, your soul flame is unique to you. It's your little drop, but it's right there. We don't have to search outside. We can go into our sacred heart space and experience the divine within us. It's nowhere outside of us. And that's the practice that we're going to do right now. But I need to preface it by saying, who is God? Who is a form of the divine? Who do you feel like you can trust off the bat? That you got something to work with. Like when you go on a date and you're like, I can work with this person. This has some potential. That's all I'm looking for. Who is that for you? Can you feel that being when you call? Can you love that being and receive love? Can you co-create? So many people look at what I've built in my soul retrieval and inner alignment work. It is profound. We've trained hundreds of people. We've had hundreds of people go through this work, become coaches, healers. How did you do that? Not with my ego. Because I commanded divine. Divine, I know you put me on this earth to do something. Bring it on. Work through me. Let me be in service to you. No, I made no money at first. But that wasn't what it was about. It was about my connection to divine and my service in the world. And hey, by the way, I can't go broke doing this. I need you to support me financially. But where it came from was my command from divine. I'm ready to bring the light. I'm ready to relieve suffering. Help me do this. So now I'm bringing in the concept of now being kind of commanding. Is that rude? To be like, hey, I'm ready. I'm here. I'm awake. Let's go. No, that comes from the will. It comes from our divine connection. Divine wants that command. The divine cannot intervene in our lives without our free will. Our free will comes from our solar plexus. Our solar plexus has fire and willpower and command. Ideally, we've transmuted the ego aspect of the will, and we are more aligned with our soul's desire so that we can command that into our being. But if you are walking around going, like so many of us feel, like that's kind of how I feel in the morning, like, oh my God, Jesus, where is my kid, right? That's what we feel. We're in the suffering. And then I sit down on this chair and I pull out my prayers and I start commanding the divine to work through me. I start commanding my mental body to step aside. I command the abundance I desire. I command the light I want to be. I don't sit from a place of powerlessness and say, I know I'm not worthy, but if you could spare a moment, if you could like help me. No, we need to vibrate our worth, our deserving of that love, of that connection. We are already that. It's already in us. We don't need anybody to grant that. We have to activate it from within ourselves. So am I saying two different things? Find your deity and then activate it within ourselves. Both. Both. And we can meet our divine being, our deity, that sacred being within our sacred heart space. It doesn't have to be, hey, help me, and I am the power. It is divine within me. Activate my sacred consciousness. Activate my divine power. Activate the love. That's not about ego. That's not about needing anything. Activate it within me now, please. And then the work is being present and willing to feel our bodies and to work whatever humanness is showing up. We're not enlightened yet. We are not enlightened. If you're listening to me, you're probably not enlightened yet. Okay? So we're not going to be enlightened. We're going to be imperfect. We're going to be an asshole one moment and then praying to God to be the best love possible in another moment. That is the human process toward enlightenment. If we can't look at that part of ourselves or accept that part of ourselves, then we go into separation from ourselves and we go into separation from the divine. So some people call that shadow work. Fine, call it what you will. But you have to accept the part of yourself that you're ashamed of, or you don't like, or you want to be better, or you think should be perfect. That's you too. That's me. It's so funny because I talk all the time about how I'm an asshole and I get fiery and I yell and but then the moment someone comes up to me and like sees that part of me, they're like, and I'm like, dude, I'm not enlightened and I'm not a guru. I'm not. I'm a human being on my path, raised by narcissism with pitta imbalance. Like, I am not a perfect human. I have to do my work every single day. Every day. Every season that I get imbalanced. All of us do. So we can either go into separation from ourselves and shut down, or we can just sit back on our meditation cushion and say, God, please help me be a better form of love. Please help me overcome the separation that I find myself in. Please help me love like the divine loves. Please help me have the humility to at least apologize when I'm an asshole. Please help me with this. That's what my conversation is in the morning. I'm not like, our Father who art in heaven. I'm like, hey, I need your help here. I want to be perfected in love. I am so far from that. Please help me. And the results are not overnight, but I don't yell at my kids as much anymore. And when I do, they kind of laugh at me. That, I would say, is an answer to 19 years of prayers. And it takes a long time, and it takes repetition, and it takes a commitment to being love, yes. And I can do it in this lifetime, or in my spiritual belief system, spend another 10 lifetimes doing it. 19 years, not a long time in the big scheme of things. So I'll keep going back and saying, okay, I'm a little bit better. Thank you for your help. Now, let's get me to a place where I don't react at all, please. Let me be perfect love in this scenario. But who am I talking to if I haven't defined it? If I don't have a relation to him or her? It, them, they, them. Who is it? Where is it? How do I meet it, them? And how can I feel their presence? And how often am I calling them to me? Those of us who work with the violet flame, we're violet flame in everything all day. What does that mean? We're calling the divine frequency and the beings that are connected to that violet flame to situations all day. I spend my whole day texting my clients about the violet flame, which is basically saying, hey, bring the divine in. Hey, did you bring the divine in? And what did it feel like after you brought the divine in? And what does that feel like in your body with the divine there? And what changed when the divine came in? Even if that is some substance that's so far from your being, but notice when we activate it from the soul flame in the heart. So we're really taking our own flame into our lives. But it takes time for the divine to feel like this thing outside of us, to integrate it into our awareness of who I am. I am the I am. It takes time. It takes practice. It takes trust and data. And I go in and out of it. Sometimes I'm like, I am the I am. And other times I'm like, what do you have in for me? It's not a straight line. It's not a straight line, but it is a daily practice. So, religious trauma, let's move through it. For me, I had to go away from anything Christian, and I went to the yogic path. And then with some time in the yogic path, I could come back and like, Jesus is my man, but not the one that was living in the church. I couldn't do that. And then I found Mary Magdalene. Do you know she was just made a saint like in the 60s? So crazy. But who is it for you? Who is your divine form? Who do you feel loves you and can help you and be with you? How do you define that? How do you transmute the fear that was instilled in you? How do you connect the divine within you so you can feel like the divine? So you can feel all of it, the shadowy, low conscious part of you and the part of you that's already enlightened. They're both there in your DNA, in your soul flame, in your sacred heart. But it takes practice. I do a lot of couples counseling at the end of someone's trauma work. most of the time what I'm doing is helping them to see each other's souls again, because they got lost and they couldn't see each other. And the other thing I'm doing with them is helping them find the space to be with each other instead of being with the logistics of life. So if we take that couples work and we apply it to the divine, how can you see and feel the divine beyond all of the distortions? And then how do you make a daily effort to spend time with the sacred in that presence, the I am presence, in that love? To feel it, to feel Ananda, to feel the bliss, to feel that sacred light that you are. That's how we build that relationship. It's earned. It's earned. It's exchanged. It's built. It doesn't just come, just like a marriage doesn't sustain itself if you're not spending time with each other and having those hard conversations and working through things. That said, the divine's always there, but depends on your free will. Why? Where was divine when that bad thing happened? Did you call him in? Did you command the divine to the center here? Or did you stay in the vibration of helplessness and unworthiness? Because if unworthiness and helplessness is your point of attraction and vibration, divine will be like, okay, unworthiness. I support that vibration. That's hard. That's a hard one, right? I love you in your unworthiness. Free will means I set my vibration and I ask it to be amplified by source. Free will means I connect to the divine within and I'm supported in that frequency. Free will means if I want to stay depressed, I can be depressed. Maybe my soul needs to learn through that contrast of dark and light. So the abandonment by the divine when we're feeling low is a confusion of the understanding of free will and divine's ability to intervene in our lives. So let's do, those of you who could stay on longer, I know we're at time, but let's go into that space together. And if you will, close your eyes and come into your breath and feel into your heart space where the divine radiates their light. Sometimes we get so low vibration, we can't feel the frequency and the resonance of that light, but it doesn't mean it's not there. It just means we lost that connection. Sometimes those low vibrations get louder than the subtle frequency of the divine love, power, and wisdom that lives in your heart. So as you breathe here into your heart, we're going to take a journey into the sacred heart cave. 2 inches behind your physical heart is your sacred heart cave. It's a chakra, Hrit Padma chakra, that houses your soul flame. It's like your inner temple. So as you breathe into your heart, just bring your awareness that somewhere in that chest is your inner sacred temple where the light burns ongoing within you. Deep breath into the chest, into your heart. And a nice deep exhale. Breathing in. Exhaling, releasing out. Now, if you will, we're going into the elevator to take the elevator down into the Sacred Heart. So, if you will, enter into the elevator at the center of the head. Breathing here, going into that glass elevator. And allow yourself to look around. Feel the third eye space. And as you take a deep breath into this space at the center of the head, gaze down and exhale, taking the elevator down into your neck. As you arrive into the throat chakra, just breathe here. Notice the difference of this space from this space in the center of your head. Take a deep breath here in the throat as you gaze down into the space behind your physical heart. Take a deep breath. And on the exhale, take the elevator down, down, down to the space just outside of your sacred heart, behind your physical heart. As you exit the elevator, begin to walk into your sacred heart cave. The consistent peace within this cave for everyone is your soul flame, whether that's a campfire or the fire on the altar. Just walk in to your sacred heart space. And as you walk in, let that divine form be there, waiting for you. Take that deity's hand now and receive a hug. Just receive that divine being's love. Just let your body collapse into the divine. As you breathe in, feel yourself receiving the light into your body. Just offer your love. I love you. Thank you for loving me. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for loving me. Just receive that love, that care. Just notice if it's divine feminine or divine masculine form. Just notice if it feels like a friend or a parent or a grandparent or a lover. Try not to question that. Just notice how it feels, this relationship. Let the divine take you to sit next to that sacred flame. Feel the sacred fire. Like it's a fountain of divine frequencies for you to absorb divine love, strength, purification, nourishment. Just lay on the divine's lap and receive the light coming off of the sacred fire, your soul flame, and ask it. Ask for what you need most to restore you physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually. Just ask. And as you ask, see if you can simultaneously receive straight into yourself, your heart, your body. Feel it right here. The aloe on the wounds, the purification of the shame, the love in the heart. Ask and you shall receive. You have to actively receive it. So feel yourself receiving that which you desire and have asked for. Allow yourself to feel the sensations of that in your body. Just feel the light pour in to all the spaces within yourself. Feel the divine beings restoring you, replenishing you, strengthening you. Just feel like it's right here. The healing has occurred. The love has been restored. Just feel that it is done. That you are loved. That you are in divine perfection. Thank you, Divine. Thank you. Thank you. I love you, Divine. Thank you. Thank you for loving me. If you will, just curl up with the Divine here, allowing yourself to feel that refuge as long as you need to stay here. Recognizing that anytime you feel lost or overwhelmed or burdened, this is where you can come back to. So you can either stay in this space, which I encourage you to do, or seal it in your entire being by saying, and so it is, and so it will be, and so it is done. Amen, amen, amen. Namaste.